Gather around the fire, friends. Today I've got more than one chilling tale for you. These are the stories of the 10 most brutal crimes committed against campers. Make sure to stick around till the end to see what's on number 1, because it's the most insane camping crime story that will leave you in shock. On number 10 we have a family gone in Iowa. So back in July of 2022, there was this really messed up situation that hit the news big time. Imagine what that can be. 3 people got brutally murdered while they were out camping, which just goes to show that even when you're out in nature, things can go seriously wrong. I mean, who could have imagined that? It was a Schmidt family, trying to enjoy a vacation at the Macoka Cave State Campground in Iowa when they ran into some real bad luck. There were these 2 adults, both 42, and their little 6-year-old daughter. Tragically, they were all found dead in their tent, but somehow their 9-year-old son managed to survive. Initial reports were saying they'd been shot, but later on it turned out it was even worse. They'd been shot, stabbed, and strangled. It's just horrifying. You might be thinking it would be some psychopath who might be homeless, right? Well, it turns out the guy behind it was Anthony Sherwin, only 23 years old. And get this, he didn't have any criminal record before this. Crazy, right? He was actually staying in the campground with his own parents. After the bodies were found, everyone freaked out and they evacuated the campground. But they couldn't find Sherwin anywhere. Eventually, they found him dead in the woods nearby. Turns out he'd taken his own life. It's just tragic all around. On number 9, we have Unsolved Mystery at Wakefest. Alright, so back in 2015, there was this wakeboarding event called Wakefest going down in Tennessee, and a 21-year-old named Lauren Taylor was there with her crew, her buddies Hannah, Aaron, and Chris. Now, this event wasn't exactly the most chill scene. There was a lot of heavy drinking and not a ton of supervision. After hitting up a bar until the wee hours of the morning, they decided to head back to their campsite by boat. Lauren was actually feeling pretty uneasy about the whole situation, especially since they were in some isolated spot. That night, she crashed in the hammock with Chris near this cliff edge. But here's where things take a dark turn. The next day, they found Lauren dead in a cove, and her blood alcohol levels were sky high. Plus, she had some serious head trauma. But get this, her injuries didn't add up to the fall from that cliff. She had some bruises, sure, but not the kind you'd expect from a tumble like that. Her clothes were still intact too, when they should have been shredded if she fell. And here's the kicker. There was 0 water in her stomach or lungs, which you'd expect if she drowned. Suspicious, right? The spotlight quickly turned to her friends because they just carried on with their day like nothing happened. And they didn't even report Lauren missing after that night of camping. Super weird. I mean, what sort of friends wouldn't notice their friends gone missing? Now, despite some folks, like an off-duty officer and a forensic scientist, thinking foul play was involved, the official story, what people considered was that Lauren's death was just an accident. They said she fell out of her hammock because of the booze and drowned. But Lauren's family and some undercover investigators aren't buying it. Even I don't believe she drowned. It's pretty obvious. However, her family is not giving up until they uncover the real deal. It's like something straight out of a mystery novel, but sadly, it's real life. And on number 8 we have the killer is in the house. Man, it's a real shocker when danger comes knocking from someone close, right? This family, mom, dad, and their 13-year-old girl got hit hard by the truth on September 16, 2021. Here's the deal. 15-year-old William Quincy Colburn III from Arkansas Pass, Texas did something straight out of a horror movie. He started posting gruesome pics of his own dead family on Discord, of all places, along with some seriously messed up threats about taking his violent show on the road to a school. It still haunts me. Who even does that? It's crazy. Well, when the cops rolled up to the Arkansas Oaks RV Resort in Ingleside to check things out, this kid locked himself in tight. And then boom, a gunshot echoed through the air. Inside, they found Colburn killed himself with a self-inflicted gunshot. But that's not all. In the RV were his mom, dad, sis, and even the family pets, all dead. The victims were William Colburn Jr., 63, Jana Colburn, 53, and Emma Colburn, 13. The cops made it clear that there is no danger to any students or staff in the area. But man, what a grim and messed up situation. It's like something you'd hope never to hear about, but sadly, it's real life hitting hard. Number 7. Assault at German campground. Camping, it's super popular everywhere. But let's be real, it's not all marshmallows and ghost stories. By now, I guess we all know that. There are some serious risks out there. So back in April of 2017, in Germany's Siega Nature Preserve, this crazy incident went down. I want you to imagine this. 2 adults chilling in their tent, catching some Z's, when suddenly, out of nowhere, this 31-year-old dude named Eric, his last name is a mystery, so let's assume it's Eric X, decides to slash open your tent like something you'd see in some horror movie. Then he yanks out this 23-year-old woman and holds a saw to her throat. Can you imagine the terror? Imagine how horrifying that is? And it gets worse. While her 26-year-old buddy just had to watch, powerless to stop it, talk about a nightmare. But hey, there's a bit of hope in this dark story. The woman actually survived, thank goodness. And guess what? They caught the creep eventually. Now, here's where justice steps in. Despite Eric X denying everything, the evidence didn't lie. His DNA matched up with what they found at the scene and on the victim. So they nailed him and tossed him in the slammer for 11 years and 6 months. But get this, the drama doesn't end there. In a bizarre twist, Eric X tried to off himself in jail by setting his bedding on fire in February of 2018. Can you believe that? Ended up with some serious burns. Man, talk about adding fuel to the fire. Literally. So yeah, camping's awesome and all, but always be aware of the risks. It's not all s'mores and stargazing out there, folks. If you think that's crazy, wait till you hear what happens at number 1. So moving on, now we have number 6. Wells Gray Park Murders. Here comes the most chilling tale that went down just north of the Canadian border, near Wells Gray Provincial Park in good old British Columbia back in August of 1982. So you got Bob and Jackie Johnson, their 2 daughters in middle school, and Jackie's folks all gearing up for a camping trip just outside the park. Sounds like a typical family adventure, right? Well, not quite. After they set up camp, they vanish into thin air. Cue the panic and search parties combing the area. What they found at the campsite? 6 bullet shells, and that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Weeks later, they stumbled upon a burnt-out car on a logging road nearby. And what they discovered inside? Grisly stuff, charred bones and other human remains, all belonging to the Johnson family. But hold on, it gets worse. Their other vehicle, a truck camper, went MIA for over a year until it turned up burnt to a crisp in another remote area nearby. Now suspicion starts pointing fingers at this local dude, David William Shearing. Apparently he had some inside scoop on the crime scene that got the cops' attention. Long story short, after some intense questioning, Shearing spills the beans. He's not only admitting to the killings, but hands over the murder weapon, claiming it was all supposed to be a robbery gone wrong. He gets 6 back-to-back life sentences, but wait, there's a sickening twist. Turns out Shearing didn't off the girls right away like he claimed. Nah, he kidnapped them, tortured them for nearly a week at his farm before finally ending their lives. Man, some stories are just too dark to believe. But sadly, this one's all too real. And now we have number 5. Friends No More. Alright, here's another grim one. This time from the supposed safety of an RV community down in Biloxi, Mississippi, on May 26, 2020. So Mika Harrington, just 41 years old, chilling at the RV park when tragedy strikes. They found him outside the park's laundromat, his body horribly mutilated. I'm talking stabbed and partially dismembered. Park residents described it as a downright bloodbath. Now enter Clint Barrett Brower, also 41, who happened to live in the same Massilia travel park. Small world, right? Turns out these were 2 once buds, according to a family member, but something went seriously wrong. Brower was charged with the murder charge for Harrington's death. No motive's been officially spilled by the authorities, but get this. Brower's defense attorney claims his client's dealing with some mental health issues. Apparently, he was under the impression that people were out to get him. It's tragic when things go down like this, especially in what's supposed to be a tight-knit community. Makes you realize just how fragile things can be, huh? And on number 4 we have a murderous friendship. So picture this, Trevor and Sheldon, two buds ready to kickstart Trevor's military career with a camping trip. But things take a wild turn. Trevor, this 20-year-old guy stoked about joining the Marines, figures a weekend in the woods with his best pal, Sheldon, would be the perfect send-off. They're all set for a chill time in the wilderness, but on August 22nd, 2015 goes down in infamy. So here's what happened. Firefighters are battling this brush fire at Bucks Lake in California, right? In the midst of the chaos, they stumble upon Sheldon, slashed up, bloody, barely hanging on to life. And get this, he starts pointing fingers at Trevor, saying Trevor went berserk on him after they dropped acid, and Trevor made a move. Sheldon wasn't down for Trevor's romantic vibes. Now, cue the detectives scratching their heads. Not only do they find another charred body in the fire, but they're also wondering if Trevor went full-on psycho and attacked Sheldon, then killed someone else. It's like a real-life whodunit. But there's a spoiler. Turns out it was Trevor's body they found in the flames. Talk about a plot twist. Suddenly, Sheldon's story isn't adding up. His injuries not exactly matching up with a life or death brawl. And then he spills the beans. He killed Trevor because Trevor asked him to, claiming it was some mercy kill deal. Now we'll never know what exactly went down during the trippy night in the woods, but Sheldon was charged with a first-degree murder and arson charge. And just like that, what was supposed to be a bro-bonding camping trip turned into a nightmare no one saw coming. And now we have number 3. An island attack. July 15th, 2022, this young couple, Lynn and her boyfriend, decide to hit up Marinduque Island in the Philippines for a camping getaway. Sounds romantic, right? But things didn't turn out romantic. Instead, quite the opposite. So they're chilling in their tent, minding their own business, when out of nowhere, a masked creep barges in and starts attacking them. Tragic stuff, really. Lynn's boyfriend, just 21 years old, ends up getting fatally stabbed right there in the tent. I mean, talk about a nightmare. Lynn, who's only 17 herself, tries to make a run for it, but this psycho overpowers her. And what comes next is hard to think of. She gets physically abused, choked, and stabbed. It's a miracle she survived that hellish ordeal, but her boyfriend wasn't so lucky. Now justice needs to be served, right? So they're offering up a hefty reward, a cool $1,000,000 pesos, for anyone who can help nail the scumbag responsible for this nightmare. But despite all the efforts, they're still coming up empty-handed on the suspect front. It's a real tough break, and it's hard not to feel for Lynn and her boyfriend's family in all of this. And now we have number 2. The domestic tragedy. Here in the good old US of A, domestic violence is a big deal. I'm talking about nearly 20 people getting physically abused by their partners every single minute. It's a grim reality, and sometimes things take a deadly turn, like what went down on February 3rd, 2021 at the Shady Creek RV and Park Resort in Michigan. Cops roll up to the resort after getting wind of a possible shooting. They find Joy Dawn Boswell, 35 years old, with a gunshot wound to her face. It's a gut-wrenching sight. Then, not too far away, they spot this guy covered in blood strolling down the road like it's no big deal. They haul him in for questioning, and it's not looking good for him. Despite the doctors doing all they could, Joy didn't make it. And guess who they pinned it on? Yep, her boyfriend, Austin Taylor Lucas. Turns out there's surveillance footage from a gas station showing the two of them arguing, and Lucas is waving around a handgun like it's a toy or something. Putting a long tale short, Lucas didn't put up much of a fight in court. He pleaded no contest to second-degree murder and getting caught with a firearm he shouldn't have had. Now he's looking at a stretch of 15 to 25 years in the slammer. Just goes to show, things can escalate real fast when tempers flare in relationships. And now we have number 1. A man on the run. Alright, brace yourselves for this last bit of madness. Some crimes just seem like a crazy mix of family drama and plain old bad luck. So hear about this wild ride from 2021. A father gets murdered by his own son, and an innocent elderly couple gets caught in the crossfire of a getaway gone wrong. Here's the scoop. June 19 rolls around, and this dude named Owen Evan Nicholson allegedly does the unthinkable. He kills his 83-year-old Pops Charles Sims Nicholson. Then he leaves the old man's body in an RV over at Oregon's Mill Casino RV lot. But wait, it gets worse. Owen supposedly snags his dad's truck and takes off, but not before plowing into a sweet old couple just trying to enjoy their day. Anthony Oyster, 74, didn't make it, and his wife Linda, She survived the initial hit but sadly passed away a few weeks later in the hospital. It's heartbreaking stuff, really, but hold on tight, because it doesn't end there. Owen allegedly goes on to off a woman at a marijuana dispensary. Talk about a crime spree. After ditching the stolen truck, Owen pulls out a gun and strong-arms some poor soul into helping him escape. They hit the road for a grueling 33-hour drive, but this woman, Laura Johnson from Oregon, manages to talk some sense into him. She convinces him to do the right thing and turn himself in. So Owen finally comes to his senses and surrenders. He gets shipped back to Oregon to face the music for his crazy rampage. And that, my friends, is one roller coaster of a crime story you won't forget soon. So this is it. Those were the 10 brutal crimes against campers. Which one of these did you find the most horrific crime? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and make sure to hit that like button for more videos like these. Until then, see you in the next video.